It was just another day here from yet this spring. The air was cool, the birds were chirping, and the sun was bright. My days go by slow and nothing very exciting ever tends to happen here. I have a very big family, 4 brothers and 3 sisters to be exact, and a mother and father, of course. Unfortunately for me, I'm the last one left here at the spring. Eventually, each one of my siblings started moving away, and even my mother and father eventually moved away. I was stuck here by myself now every single day. I could not help to think that I had plans for much bigger and better things. I did not want to stay in the spring my whole life and marry one of the frogs I had grown up with and already spent so much time with. I wanted to see the world. I just don't know how. I was only just a little frog. I always wondered what it would like to go out and experience the real world, go on real adventures. I was determined to do this, but I just did not know how. I woke up this morning and it started off like any other morning. I opened my sleepy eyes and hopped over to some refreshing drinking water. My eyes were still partially closed when I heard a noise. It was coming closer and closer, and it sounded like footsteps, human footsteps. This was very strange because humans did not come to the spring very often. All of a sudden, I opened my eyes wide, and I was no longer tired. It was a real-life human walking right towards me. Nervous, I hopped over to hide behind a rock. I had never seen a human so close to me before. This human was like nothing I had ever imagined. She was amazing. She had long, beautiful blonde hair and piercing blue eyes. She looked sad though, and I could not understand why she'd be so sad. She was the most beautiful human I had ever seen. She walked around examining the trees in the spring before skipping away. I watched her until I could not see her anymore. The rest of the day, she was all I could think about, how beautiful she was. The next morning, I woke up particularly early. I had been dreaming about the human all night, and I hopped around just hoping there was some chance she would come back. Just as the evening was arriving, I had completely given up hope that she was coming back. And then I heard footsteps again, and I was so excited as she got closer, I couldn't help but let out a loud, "Ribbit." This must have startled her because as soon as I made the noise, she gasped and looked down at me. All of a sudden, she crouches down and scoops me up right into her hand. She wasn't scared or grossed out like most humans are. I sat in the palm of her hand staring at her piercing blue eyes. She was even more beautiful than I remember. Next, she opens her mouth and explains, "What's your name, little frog?" In awe, I look at her and say, "Marcus?" She then responds, "What a handsome name." I couldn't believe it. She understands me. Humans aren't supposed to understand frogs. I just don't understand. So I try again and ask, "What's your name?" And she replies, "My name is Ella, and you sure are one cute frog." I didn't know what to respond besides, "Ribbit." She carefully puts me back down in the spring and skips away. After that, she came back each and every day. She was a princess, and she was trying to get away from her strict family. They were trying to get her to marry a man and set her up with someone, but she wanted to choose on her own. After 2 weeks of the princess and I talking, the most miraculous thing happened. The princess came by just like any other day, but she looked sad. Concerned, I asked, "Princess, what is wrong? Why do you look so sad?" She took a deep breath and explains, "My mother and father are forcing me to get married since I haven't found a prince on my own. They're making me get married to a very unkind man." I couldn't believe it. I was about to lose my best friend. I didn't know what to say, and the princess was just about to leave, so she wanted to say one final goodbye. She picks me up and whispers, "Goodbye, little frog." The next thing you know, she kisses me right on the forehead. I felt a tingling as she drops me down. She was staring at me in shock, and all of a sudden I looked down, and I'm a human. I have 2 legs, 2 arms, and a body. The princess can hardly speak and says, "Oh my gosh, what just happened?" Just as confused as she was, I explained, "Your kiss. Your kiss must have turned me into a human." She grabs my arm and pulls me through the spring. She becomes very happy and starts getting an idea. She tells me, "This is meant to be. You are my prince, and I'm going to marry you." She brings me all the way back to their castle and searches for her mom and dad. She yells to them, "Mom, Dad, I found my prince, and I'm going to marry him." Both parents look puzzled as they begin to ask, "I'm sorry, but who are you and where are you from?" I just tell them, "I'm Marcus, and I'm from across the spring." After hours of convincing, they agree to let us get married. I'm now finally able to see the world, and I can go on the adventures I always dreamed of. The princess talked to me even when I was just an ugly frog, and now because of that, I am a prince.